Welcome to Celestial Zodiac, your home for clear and grounded astrology. In this video, we're breaking down the different types of transits, specifically the difference between fast and slow transits, and the difference between exact hits and background influence. Because not all transits feel the same, and understanding why they feel different is what helps you actually work with them. One of the biggest differences between transits is how fast they move. Some transits pass quickly and show up as temporary experiences, while others unfold over months or even years. Inner planets like the Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars move quickly through the chart, and their transits tend to show up as shifts in mood, conversations, reactions, or short-term situations. Inner planets move quickly through the chart, but each one moves at a different speed, which affects how long their transits last. The Moon is the fastest, moving about 12 to 15 degrees per day and changing signs every 2 to 3 days, which is why emotional shifts can feel so rapid. Mercury moves more moderately at about 1 to 2 degrees per day when direct, typically staying in a sign for about 2 to 3 weeks, though it can remain longer during retrograde periods. Venus moves at around 1 degree per day and usually spends about 3 to 4 weeks in a sign, also extending its time there when retrograde. Mars is the slowest of the inner planets, moving at about half a degree per day and staying in a sign for roughly 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes much longer when it goes retrograde. You feel them, but they don't last. These are the transits that might explain why you feel a certain way one day and completely different a few days later. These differences in speed are what make some transits feel brief and passing, while others linger and have a more sustained influence. Then you have the social planets, Jupiter and Saturn, which move more slowly and tend to show up as phases of growth and development. Their transits tend to shape longer phases of life. Jupiter moves at about 1 degree per month and typically stays in a sign for around a year, bringing growth, opportunity, and expansion in a specific area of life. Saturn moves even more slowly at about 1 degree every 1 to 2 months, and remains in a sign for roughly 2.5 years. Because of this, Saturn transits tend to feel more prolonged and significant, often bringing structure, responsibility, and long-term lessons. While Jupiter transits can last a few months when activating a specific point in the chart, Saturn transits can last much longer, sometimes stretching over many months or even more than a year due to retrograde motion. Jupiter expands things, bringing opportunities, learning, or growth in a specific area of life, while Saturn brings structure, responsibility, and sometimes pressure, but also long-term stability. These transits don't just pass through. They shape a period of your life and help define the direction you're moving in. Beyond that, you have the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which move the slowest and can influence your chart for years at a time. Uranus moves at about 1 degree every 1 to 2 months and stays in a sign for roughly 7 years, often bringing periods of change, disruption, and awakening. Neptune moves even more slowly at about 1 degree per year, remaining in a sign for around 14 years. This transit creates long-term influences related to intuition, imagination, and gradual shifts in perception. Pluto is the slowest of all, sometimes moving less than 1 degree per year and staying in a sign anywhere from 12 to 20 years. Because of this, Pluto transits can last for several years and are often associated with deep transformation, power dynamics, and profound life changes. Instead of short-term events, these planets create deep, long-term changes. These transits don't just affect what's happening in your life. They reshape how you experience it over time. A key thing to understand is that duration matters more than intensity. A fast transit might feel strong in the moment, but it passes quickly. A slow transit might feel subtle at first, but over time it creates real and lasting change. So instead of focusing only on what feels intense right now, it's important to look at what's been building over time. Another important distinction is the difference between exact transits and background transits. An exact transit happens when a transiting planet forms an exact angle or aspect to a point in your natal chart. This is when the energy is strongest and most noticeable, often showing up as a specific event, realization, turning point, or moment of clarity or tension. When a transiting planet forms an aspect, it is essentially the peak of the transit. For example, if transiting Mars forms an exact square to your natal Sun, you might experience a surge of pressure or conflict right at that time. This could show up as an argument, a stressful situation, or a moment where you feel pushed to take action. The days leading up to it may feel tense, but when the transit becomes exact, that's often when something noticeable happens or comes to a head. If you'd like a deeper breakdown of aspects and how they work, you can check out my Aspects video series where I go into more detail. Transits don't happen in just one moment. As a planet moves toward that exact point, it's called an applying transit, which is when the energy is building. You might feel anticipation, pressure, or a sense that something is starting to develop. After the exact hit where it forms an aspect, the planet begins to move away, which is called a separating transit. This is when you're processing, integrating, or making sense of what just happened. At the same time, there are always background transits happening, especially from slower-moving planets that aren't making an exact hit yet but are close enough to influence your chart. These don't always show up as clear or dramatic events. Instead, they feel like a gradual shift in mood, perspective, or direction, or a subtle sense that something is changing beneath the surface. For example, if Saturn is slowly approaching a conjunction to your natal moon, you might begin to feel more serious, reflective, or emotionally withdrawn over time. There may not be one specific moment where everything changes, but instead a growing sense of responsibility, emotional heaviness, or the need to set boundaries. As Saturn gets closer to the exact point, that feeling tends to intensify, eventually leading up to a more noticeable moment when the transit becomes exact. This is why not everything happens all at once. Some changes are tied to exact moments, but others unfold gradually as a result of ongoing background influence. You might not notice these changes day to day, but over time you look back and realize something significant has shifted. Understanding the different types of transits helps you see not just what is happening in your chart, but how and when it's unfolding. It explains why some experiences are quick and temporary, while others feel like they're shaping an entire chapter of your life. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.